Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a sequel to Shazam and the newest movie in the now not so relevant DCEU, now that it's basically getting entirely rebooted. In this movie, Billy Batson and his foster siblings, as you saw at the end of Shazam, spoiler for that, they all got Shazam powers. Now they're basically a team of superheroes. They've been out and about saving the city of Philadelphia as much as they can, but at this point, the Daughters of Atlas have discovered that these kids have inherited the powers of the gods, and now they're arriving on Earth to take them back and just wreak havoc upon the Earth. Some people love the first Shazam, some people thought it was okay. I thought it was great. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was big meets Superman, and I thought it crushed it at that. It was a lot of fun, it was really funny, it was very lighthearted, which I thought was a refreshing take for the DCU at the time, and it had a lot of really deep, emotional, heartfelt moments to it that I really appreciated. However, I will admit Shazam for me kind of felt like a one-off movie, like the kind of superhero that just needed this one movie, and then we could see him in other movies with other members of the Justice League or whatever, because I wasn't really sure exactly how much further they could go with his story and his character. So admittedly, when a sequel was announced, I wasn't as jacked for it and as hyped for it as maybe I would have expected myself to be, given how much I love the first Shazam. So start off with this. Okay, one thing that I think this movie did very well at, and maybe even to a better extent than the first Shazam, I think most will agree on this, I felt like Zachary Levi and Asher Angel, the one who plays, kid Billy Batson and, adult Shazam Billy Batson, they felt more like one character. Because there's a flaw that you could find with the first Shazam. Whenever Billy Batson would turn into Shazam, they kind of felt like two different characters. They didn't really feel all that similar. So when Zachary Levi's kind of doing his thing, and Asher Angel, when you see him, it kind of felt more synonymous. Also, I'm going to tell you right now, stand on this movie, Jack Dylan Grazer, he's fucking awesome. You kind of knew when you saw it for the very first time, you're like, that kid is special, that kid's different, that kid's gonna go places. And yeah, he absolutely fucking has. I think he absolutely stands out the most in this movie. He is really funny, he has a lot of heart, you really see his character, I think, the most out of all the kids. He even starts developing this sort of high school romance with, one of the girls that's in the school, and you really start feeling for him because, he's trying to be smooth and he really can't. That really brings for a lot of laughs, but what I love seeing is also just, his relationship with Billy and the foster family, and just, you really see a lot of the heartfelt moments that are in this movie, I think really came from him. Also, the wizard in this movie, I don't remember his name. I think his name is officially Shazam. He's the one, who gave everyone their powers. I think he has a lot bigger of a role in this movie that I really appreciated. Because in the first one, he kind of was just the guy to give the people their powers. He didn't really feel like he had a big role in the movie. He didn't really feel like a character. Here, he feels like way more of a character. He feels like he contributes a lot more to the movie. I like seeing him get a lot more screen time. And again, I thought a lot of the humor came from his chemistry with Jack Dylan Grazer. And I'll say this much right now, the action when it goes down, it is fun, it's enjoyable, it's a lot of CGI, and not all of it is great CGI. In fact, I would say when you get to the final fight, or towards the final fight, you start seeing a lot of stuff that looks a little familiar from the last movie. But, to some extent, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As far as flaws with the movie go, I will say, the villains in this movie, the Daughters of Atlas, they're kind of generic. Like, they're kind of just, thrown in because we need villains, and, it works with them being, the daughters of a god. It makes sense for them to be the ones who are going to combat the Shazam family. But at the same time, they didn't really stand out to me all that much. I'm not going to remember them as these big, high-scale comic book movie villains. Also, another flaw that I had with this movie, surprisingly, is the kid actors, with, again, kind of the exception of Jack Dylan Grazer, you don't really see much of them. Like, typically when the kids are hanging out and, they're devising plans to save the city or to fight people or whatever it is, they're almost always in their Shazam bodies, which I found a little bit weird. I thought it would be nice to at least connect it more with the kids, see how they've grown as characters and as actors. And also say as much, when it comes to like the kid characters and the kid actors, Asher Angel and Jack Dylan Grazer are easily the standouts. They get the most screen time because obviously their relationship and their friendship was the highlight of Shazam. But we had that to build off of in Shazam. I was hoping in this one, the other foster siblings would have gotten a bigger role. We would have connected more with their characters. We would have seen a little bit more of their characters. They maybe get their moments here and there, but they didn't really feel super necessary to the movie. Like, if the other, 4 or 5, however many they are, if they were taken out of the movie entirely, would the movie feel different? I don't think so. Also, I'm going to say this much right now. I said that Jack Dylan Grazer's character did bring some heartfelt moments into this movie, But this movie itself has nowhere near the level of heart or emotional depth that the first Shazam had. Like, the first Shazam just hit me emotionally in areas that I just was not expecting, I was not ready for, and I think that's what made Shazam, for me, a really special film. This movie, I feel like, had opportunities. It had moments. There's one moment in particular between, like, a storyline that I felt could have developed anyway, between Billy Batson and his foster parents, that, you know, it gets alluded to at the beginning of the movie. And I thought at some point during the movie it was going to become kind of a pivotal part to the movie. But the reality is, I mean, they touch on it then, it kind of gets addressed towards the final act, and it didn't really feel like there was really any build-up or any story behind that. Kind of felt like the studio wasn't really focused on making Shazam 2 a really, you know, emotional movie, even though that would have worked for it. It kind of just felt like, you know, let's just have all the Shazam people in the movie for the majority of it, because that's what people really like, and let's just have a bunch of action. I will say this though, the final act of the movie I did think was a really good time. You know, shit's going down, you know, Billy's supposed to, you know, really find out what it means to be a hero, you know. A little, which I felt was cliche from what happened in the first Shazam. But I guess they can kind of get away with that in the fact that, you know, Billy is a kid and he still has a lot to learn in growing up. But it did work, and I will say, the way it ends, or kind of ends anyway, it would have gotten me interested in seeing what they would have done with Shazam going forward in the DCEU, but now I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, given the fact that most of it's getting just redone and rebooted. But, you know, who knows, maybe along the way they'll find a way to incorporate him into something. We do know now, for whatever reason, it won't be Black Adam. That much is confirmed. So all in all, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, it's a solid sequel. The action, although it's a little redundant from the last movie, is still fun. It is still a good time, especially the final battle. I like seeing the Shazam family work together. Jack Dylan Grazer absolutely steals every scene he's in. Wish I cared a little bit more about the Daughters of Atlas. I wish I cared a lot more about more members of the Shazam family. In the end, although this movie is definitely nothing to write home about, I do think it's something that you can go into and have a good time with. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.